звати Майк.
My name is Mikhailo. I'm 32 years old. My wife and two young children lived in the small village of Velika Dymerka, which is a small village near Kiev. On the night of March 8th, something terrible happened. Russian troops entered our village with tanks. The Russians fired their tanks at houses where lights were on. All the people were hiding in basements and concrete garages. Later that night, the Ukrainian military arrived and fired on the Russians from afar on entering the village. They fired artillery shells, mortars and mostly Javelin missiles. I want to thank the United States for sending Javelin missiles. They have saved many Ukrainian lives. That night during the battle, the Russians decided to hide their military equipment in between the houses and as close as possible to residential buildings, knowing that the Ukrainian military will not risk civilian lives and not fire. The Russians would drive their tanks out between homes for a minute or two, fire a couple shells or two, then roll back in between the houses for cover. These people are pure evil. To answer this, our soldiers came into the town and took cover behind trees with their javelins. When the Russians came out between the homes to fire their rockets, our boys fired their javelins at them and destroyed a couple tanks. Unfortunately, our military doesn't have that many javelins, so they fired the few of them they had, and then they had to fall back into the forest for their own safety. The Russian soldiers didn't flee for a couple weeks, and one day they came to my house. They kicked down the door and shouted, "Are there people in the house?" We had to come up from the basement to the main room, where the soldiers were already rummaging through all our belongings. My family and I luckily know Russian, unlike others in my neighborhood. I told the children to say hello in Russian. When we started talking to the soldiers in Russian, they softened up a bit. I was thankful that they became a little bit nicer, because our plan was, if they were to be cruel, I was to either lay on top of my family, so if they fire it, all the bullets will go into my body and not theirs. And then they would run away when the guns were jammed or out of bullets. I've never been in the West, USA, Australia, Canada, UK, France, Germany, never been. But my guess is that fathers in those countries would do the same for their family. I can't believe it's just a Ukrainian belief to do this for one's family. I begged the soldiers in Russian to allow us to leave the village. And their commander allowed us to do so. It was all because we knew Russian. Our car unbelievably survived and was in the garage. While driving away, we drove very slowly, not to be shot. And saw on the both sides of the road Russian soldiers breaking into houses in search of food, alcohol, fresh t-shirts and underwear. Yes, they took away all the men's underwear, both new and used. It seems that they had a big problems with it. I don't understand it. I would rather wear no underwear than wear another man's dirty underwear. They must be pretty poorly supplied. We got to the edge of our village, to the hastily established Russian checkpoint. There was a group of soldiers, about 10 people. They stopped our car, opened the door and trunk. They asked the children what their mother and father's names were. When they saw the young children and heard that we spoke Russian, they began to behave more human. I specifically warned the children to speak only Russian in the presence of the military. Then they got in touch with someone on the walkie-talkie, described us, our car, our license, and I heard them say on the walkie-talkie in Russian that we were allowed to leave the village. After a couple of weeks, our military ejected the Russian occupiers from the whole Kiev region, and we all went home. Some houses in the village were destroyed and broken, and burnt military equipment still remains right outside our front door.